Welcome, riding buddies. For this episode of John's Motorcycle Mania, I want to have a look at water cooling on motorcycles. I'm going to go more towards motocross than anything else, but the start of it will be motorcycles in general. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the notifications bell, and send me a like as well. To start off the H2O epidemic, it actually started back in the early 1900s. Cars had water cooling already, but motorcycles were still all air-cooled. But in the early 1900s, a company called Scott released what had a air-cooled cylinder and a water-cooled head. Shortly after that bike, they did a full water-cooled engine. That was your very first water-cooled motorcycle, production motorcycle this is. We go forward a lot of decades. Water cooling came in on road bikes in the early 70s, early mid 70s, but I want to focus on the motocross stuff. So 1976, a young rider called Bob Henner in America is sponsored by Yamaha, and they build him an absolutely amazing OW125 to race the AMA championships. This was your first full water-cooled motocross bike. Still no production, this is a works bike. The story behind that bike is its own video, but if you go on to MX Works Bike's website, Terry Good has got an absolutely amazing story all about that bike and that season. The story of that season is really a Hollywood movie theme in itself. But check that out on MX Works Bikes, and it's by Terry Good. Now, back to our production bikes. In the late 70s, there were some aftermarket kits being made that you could go and buy and put onto your production Yamaha or Honda or whatever. But by 1981, the water cooling phenomenon actually hit the production bikes that everybody could buy. Everyone started producing at least one model of water cooled bike. Probably my favorite out of all those was the KTM 125 LC. Bit of a soft spot for that bike for personal reasons, but it's a beautiful bike. Honda bought out their little 125. Yamaha bought out the YZ125H. Most of the Euro small capacity manufacturers were building water-cooled bikes as well. But it wasn't through all the bikes at this point. It was just selected models. Yamaha, of course, went down the path of putting the radiator up on the head stem. We all know that bike. They continued that into the next year with the J model, where all the bikes, except for the 490, was water-cooled. Honda actually put the radiators in what looks to be pretty close to normal these days. KTM and a couple of other little manufacturers went down a completely different path, and the radiator was actually under the fuel tank. It was very strange, but it did work. And a couple of other manufacturers followed Yamaha with the radiator up on the head stem. So 1981 is our first production water-cooled bike. Up until then, it was all works bikes and aftermarket kits. Of course, after that era, they changed dramatically. So we had all the bikes now going to the radiators down the sides where they are now. Everyone did that by about 1983. We found where it actually worked pretty good. Suzuki, of course, when they released their water-cooled 125, it had one massive big single radiator, but it is in the normal spot. It's just one radiator instead of two radiators. We carried on for many years, and we still run today the same format. Two radiators on each side of the frame, sometimes only one side of the frame, only one radiator on one side, but we still carry the same way that everyone started in basically 1983. When they did water cooling, this changed the lines of the motocross bike forever. You got rid of just a massive big air-cooled cylinder with big fins on it. And then you went to a small finless water-cooled cylinder, but also too that introduced radiator shrouds to pull the air in as well. So the lines changed forever. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you haven't seen any of my other stuff, make sure you go back through my library and check out some of my other videos that I've done there as well. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Send me a like. Tell me what you think changed the lines of a motocross bike forever. What technology was thrown in there and changed the look of the bikes? I hope to see you at my next video. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.